Shabbat Shalom from Temple Concord. This week, our Torah portion introduces us to Joseph, and we have Joseph squabbles with his brothers and all the difficulties, and ultimately he ends up in Egypt. But before he gets to Egypt, there's a fascinating place that we don't often discuss or explore that I think deserves some time. Joseph ends up in the pit. His brothers toss him in the pit and decide we're not going to kill him, but we're going to throw him into this pit. And they find out later that he's left the pit and he's been sold and so on. The question is, how often do we end up in those same kinds of pits in our own life? Is Joseph's arrival in that pit the result of his own doing? Did he cause himself to be there? Or was he innocent? Was it his brother's doing? Or was it some combination of the two? My sense, reading it in 2018, is that it's a combination, that it was Joseph's choices and the reaction to those choices. And I think in our own world we do the same thing. When we make poor choices, sometimes we can find ourselves alone in a pit. And the question is, can we see that coming and avoid those choices? Or once we're in that pit, can we figure out how to work through it? Joseph has his struggles. He has a very difficult time with it. But that he ends up in the pit itself is, to me, a very normative human experience. Each of us goes through experiences in our lives that land us in that pit. The question is, once we're there, or we're on our way to that pit, do we see it in time to avoid it, or once we're in the pit, do we find a way to get out of it? And I think Joseph's story is a wonderful lesson to remind us that we have more power than we may think to avoid those pits, and that even if we find ourselves there, they need not be a permanent sentence, that there is a way to work through it and to get back into daily living. I hope you'll join us for services this Friday evening at 6 o'clock. Promises to be a wonderful Shabbat evening here at the temple. Lots of things going on in the coming week. We welcome our artist in residence, Mordechai Rosenstein, who will be arriving here next Wednesday. It's also the beginning of Hanukkah on Sunday evening, so we hope you'll celebrate with lighting the candles and enjoying time with each other and eating all the fried foods your cardiologist doesn't want you to touch. Sunday morning, our Brotherhood and Sisterhood have a joint lunch. Next Shabbat for Hanukkah, lots going on. We have all of the choirs singing and the band playing. Mordechai Rosenstein, our artist in residence, will be speaking at services and our big Hanukkah dinner. Lots of activity, lots of fun things going on at the temple as we celebrate the miracle of light and celebrate what it means to be a free people together as a community. I hope you'll join us for all of the wonderful Hanukkah celebrations. And for now, I hope you'll have a Shabbat that explores what it is to see that pit in advance and avoid it, or to explore what it is to be in that pit and work oneself out of it. I think our Torah gives us a fascinating idea of how we can better ourselves if only we can open our eyes just a little bit more. Shabbat Shalom for now. Look forward to seeing you at the temple.